CNC, looks like it is in CNC routing. But since they're following the blueprints of the club, you can basically start anywhere you want on the droid and just start. Oh wow, that once you start on another part or buy a part from the club, they'll all fit together and the robot will look exactly like a robot on there. It comes a little, has what, maybe it's $600. And there's also a styrene plan, so if you want to use a styrene, you can probably about a droid as well. So it just depends on your budget and how much you're willing to spend. It can take, this one took about a year to build. I'm told that was quite fast, but I encourage people working.
William, how long did it take you to build this one and the other one? How long have you been, I guess how long did this one take you? My first two droids, 1 and 2, which are somewhat completed, are going on 7 years. I got kind of fed up with other things, trying to get everything perfect. I kind of wanted to throw one together, some extra parts, and that's how this one came about. And this one took me about. So it can be done in a year or less. I think the quickest one in the club was done in 2 months. It can vary of what you bring to the table, how long your build goes, and what your budget cost will be. Randy, do you happen to know what your droids typically weigh?
Personality, I like to do the hardest parts first just because it gets easier along my build instead of going with the easy parts and then at the end it's really hard and then I kind of lose my momentum. So I started with the legs first. They seem to have the most parts on them.
The dome can really be self-contained. They both come off. All the lights are inside it. So if you can finish up the dome, get all the lights, kind of get an idea of what you're getting into, and then you can try to finish off the rest of it if you want to. If not, you can maybe try to sell it to one of the other club members because everyone's looking for, completed stuff. So it wouldn't be that hard to get rid of if you decided not to pursue it. But I'm sure once you got this piece done, you wouldn't want to abandon it. Well, we definitely see a lot of materials here in front of us. William, what kind of parts are in this droid? It looks like I see aluminum right here, I see possible wood here, and I'm not sure if this is my poured cement to make columns. Cement columns. To be the right size? I had a slice maybe about a 1/4 inch off of it, so it's pretty much there. Outer skin is aluminum. These are resin parts, fiberglass stone, resin eye. It's just a wood frame, wood leg. So it's kind of a mishmash of parts. Your build, as you can see, don't have to be all one material. Some members choose to do an all aluminum droid. They're tanks, they're heavy, they're really expensive, but that's what you want. Go for it. I chose to go, a little cheaper route with the wood and resin. Like I said, this was only like $500-600. So it depends on what your budget is. Randy, what materials are you using?
I have a wooden frame presently I'm working on that was designed by a guy named Mike Senna. And I have these wooden legs, I have the styrene, and I also have an aluminum dome. So I can go for a couple different color schemes with, different, have the same, use the same body and change it into a different droid per se. Just by changing the skins and the dome. Make a different color.
Sounds clever. Sounds like something that our friend Mike down here might be able to show us a little bit about.
Yeah, that's another thing about the materials. It's and what you can do with these. You can build an R2 and have an R2 in your living room, but if you wanted to, if you were going to an event or something that another R2 is going to be at, or you just wanted to make your own custom R2, that's can be done very cheaply. This dome is made out of styrene from the plum plants. And what else? Yeah, it's flat. What I'm going to show you.
Can you show a peek of what it looks like underneath?
It's got a wood frame underneath there. Wood structure. What I'm going to do here is I made these pieces out of styrene, and I'm going to do a conversion from an R2 to an R5. Has plywood legs Also a plywood wood frame. It's about 140 pounds, where again, the all aluminum joints you can get upwards around 250 pounds. That choosing your materials also will determine what drive system you're going to put into the leg. Obviously, if you're going to push around 250 pound droid, you're not going to have a lightweight drive system. It's got to be geared properly to get across the carpet like this one. But all that can be, there's various club members that can help me select that kind of thing.
Randy, when you're working on your RTA, what kind of tools do you find that you're using most?
Well, since most of what I'm doing is wood at this point, a jigsaw, bandsaw, banding tools, table saw is very useful, and a router.
One thing that is worth mentioning about the router is that you can see the legs are built out of layers, and they all need to be the same exact profile. And Randy, could you hold up a couple of the leg layers? When you rough cut another piece of wood a little bit bigger than this, this is a little bit bigger, you nail it down, and then with your router follows this pattern and then copies it onto this other piece of wood. So you do that 6 times, and then you got your layers for the legs, and they all match up the same, and you go about. So if you make a perfect template, just one, you can make cookie cutter copies of it by rough cutting with the jigsaw, the plywood, and then using a router to route it down the sides with a flush cut bit. And that's how you also do the shoulders, because these are all in layers. You get your shoulder template, you just cut them all out on the router. Quick feet, thanks that. What kind of tools also did you use on typical hobby stuff? Did you use anything unusual, stuff that people may not have? Basically, it was typical stuff. Wood cutting tools, router, bandsaw, table saw, router. Router was a big help. Drill press? Drill press, yes. Lots of holes. What you have here, Detroit check? Your problems that you might face building your droid. Lots of people ready to help you out. In case anybody blinks, Mike R2 is gone, and now this is Pink 5 from the movie, from the fan film. This is Dee Dee from the fan film Pink 5. And in just a few minutes, Mike transformed his R2D2 into this Dee Dee droid. It's completely different. You know, you really wouldn't know it's the same droid. Like Mike said, it's a great way when you have a bunch of R2D2s already here and you're going to go to a convention, or maybe there's some other special event going on where they want multiple droids and you only have one. This is a great way to effectively have a second droid ready to go.
Well, back in 2003, I was doing a lot of charity work with the R2. About a year and a half later, Lucasfilm caught wind of caught some pictures of the droid. They started asking me to do some of their shoots in LA. Some of the production companies didn't want to use an R2D2 because it was Lucasfilm's copyright, so they would have to charge them more for the licensing fee. So they asked if I can come with a different droid. So what I would do was take all these thin pieces off and paint them red, and then bring them to the set, and they would shoot the R5 instead of the R2. So that's the kind of versatility you can use it for.
What other head designs do you have?
They're for the R series or the astromech droids. What are they, like maybe probably 5 or 6 at least. There's the R2 dome. There's a clear dome as well. There's this type of dome, and there's also a taller angular dome. And then there's various other ones that aren't in in the movie universe, kind of comic book universe. There's not very many of those out there. People like to go with what's familiar in the film.
So Mike, what can these droids do? I mean, obviously your droid is driving. Does it play noises? And do you have any gadgets? What kind of things can these droids do?
So this one doesn't have a whole bunch of stuff in it, but the club itself has the periscope lifters that come out. They also have the radar dish that comes out in impact. They've developed the computer arm that comes out and pops out. There's also what's very interesting is called the 232, where the droid can actually lift the center leg up into the body and become a two-legged mode. Those are mainly for show. I tend to think they make the droid heavier, so I don't put that stuff in there. This is mainly, I call it like an event droid.
Can you demonstrate any of either the sounds or the arms or whatever you can do?
You can throw it in here. So the arms can open. Typically, this is a basic maneuver nowadays. And so, robot enthusiasts or people that like to put or think they want to put autonomous control into the R2. Typically, as an event droid, that's a disaster waiting to happen. These things are, like I said, 140 pounds plus. The drive systems are nothing to be, they're not lightweight. So if you're going somewhere and your autonomous droid decides to run into a kid or an adult, they can really hurt people. So generally, if the guys are discussing the club tries to make sure that they know what they're getting into and they know the venue to be able to use that kind of thing in.
I would gather that if you wanted to have an autonomous robot, you would have a safety leash by your regular control.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
That's what I would design.
And there's a lot of different platforms, though, that are more logically used than a three-legged robot, because these are very unstable. Going downhill, if you've got a freewheeling type of drive system, like a scooter motor type of drive system, if you're going downhill, you've got to be very careful when you're turning, because it's like a tricycle. Once you're going down a hill and you try to turn, you're going over. Yeah? As far as batteries, or batteries in there's two steel lead-acid batteries. They're about this big. This is a typical motor we get from NPC. It's a wheelchair drive motor. These used to be cheaper. Now they're like upwards of $170. They knew we were starting to use them, so they raised the prices like crazy.
They're rechargeable?
My batteries, yes. The batteries that are in this thing is rechargeable. They're typically just like any other lead-acid steel.
Basically like little motorcycle batteries.
How long does the charge last if you're in an event?
Depends on my droid with these motors and the amount of battery power I have. It should last at least a full 8-hour event, if not more. It varies between droids. It'll vary on the motor, of course, the train you're on, how it's geared, and how much battery power it's got.
Is it also weight dependent?
Yes. Absolutely.
Carpet is very hard to drive across. If you've ever built a robot, which I have, carpet will kill your batteries as fast as any surface.
Yeah, and in the early days, there were a lot of robots that couldn't even handle carpet like this.
That's right.
There's a lot of burning now.
Yeah. Nothing like.
With these droids we've been talking about, you can use different materials to build it, wood, plastic, styrene. Same with the drivetrain. These are wheelchair motors. We've also used windshield wiper motors in the past. This one is using kids' Razor scooter motors. So there's no one way to do it. So
Do you use 3 wheels or just two drives?
The 2 feet in the rear are driving the droid.
And it's a freewheeling up front?
Up front caster I have.
Oh, so it is a capture, so it has some swivel.
Yes, I have 2 casters up in front.
Yeah, a few other builders have experimented with front drive as well. So it's all how you want to do it.
Which one seems to work better, or is there a choice? Is it kind of toss-up?
Typically, there's only one droid right now that uses a front-wheel drive. If you can get it in there and do it, you can do it, but typically we don't. I think it's more simple, of course, to go for the rear wheel.
Yeah, steering is an issue as well. You have to
Yeah, I was thinking about that, yeah.
And then the issue, why people are trying to put it in the front-wheel drive, it's just because when you're going over bumps, if you think of an A-frame ladder, and you think of it pushing it from the back, the front frame is going to try to dig into the ground. So when you hit a crack, that's typical of what the force you're going to feel. It's really going to go in. So you want either big casters in the front, or if you have a front-wheel drive system, that'll just go over, and now you're pulling the back wheels over the obstruction.
Of course, if you back up, then you have the reverse.
Yeah. I don't think they would have very much power going backwards, like you say. Good point.
I have a question targeted directly to Mike, because he's kind of a special case. Mike, you've done an enormous amount of really cool things and events with your droid, especially since you were in Southern California to have their own droid stuff. Can you talk about some of the highlights you've done over the years?
Probably the biggest highlight was when Lucasfilm asked the droid to be on their float on the Rose Parade. So that one was really a big one for me, because that was seen worldwide. I've done others, just TV spots for shows like VH1, Big in 05, or the comedy specials. We've shot with Jimmy Fallon, we've shot with Jimmy Kimmel, just everyone. And when I meet up with the original actors from the original trilogy, I usually ask, I've asked them to sign the back panel of this R2. So I've got a lot of signatures as well that people generally don't see. I mean, we've met James Cameron, George Lucas's son, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, all the big guys, I guess, of the old trilogy.
I'll wait for that one.
That was actually the end of the prepared questions, but I thought we would do some more Q&A if you guys have more questions. And then after that, you're welcome to come up and take a look at some of the parking area. But first, do you guys have further